This is a capsule and we are going to talk now about the absurd censorship that was imposed on Daniel PENIN's video. Daniel PENIN is a well-known YouTuber who makes videos denouncing people, much like Kofzilla from the United States and stuff like that. So he took a big complaint against XP Investimentos and made a video. And the absurdity of this story is that the video was censored beforehand, and an absurd fine of $500,000 was imposed if he didn't take the video down and stuff like that. Let's understand what's going on here, because the absurdity of this story is the censorship, okay? His video is about XP Investimentos, right? About this report that came out from XP Investimentos. This report isn't even recent, okay? This report circulated about 3 months ago. A lot of people found out about it and started talking about it. So, he's not even bringing any new information, he's merely presenting this report from Grizzly Research, which is an American company that criticizes XP, which says that XP is a pawn scheme, which is like a pyramid scheme, right? A pawn scheme is not exactly the same as a pyramid scheme, no, but it's basically the same thing. It breaks down the same way, right? Let's get this straight. This case here is an absurdity that's happening here. This news was suggested by Vote Pela Liberdade de Expressão, Henrique and several other people. Thank you to the people who suggested news on our website, at vice-oa.com. And thank you to you who are watching our video. If you like our content, please like it and subscribe to the channel, okay? Well, at the time I'm recording this video, Daniel PENIN's video is still up. If you run over there, you can watch it. Just search for Daniel PENIN and XP Investimento. You'll find his video very easily and listen to his arguments here, okay? But anyway, the report, what he does here in his video is a very well-produced video, very good quality, right? He does some really cool graphic effects here and stuff like that. Really a really sensational editing job, right? Well, but basically the information here is the information from this report here by Grizzly Research, right? Which is a report that is 3 months old and that I even wrote here. I talked about this report back here, look. I had 100,000 views here on the report by the American consultancy, accusing XP of fraud, pawn scheme and stuff like that. I talked about all the problems, what I was saying here in the report. And basically what does the report say, right? The report says that XP's earnings are suspicious. It's something that, look, is very strange. People are making a lot of money at XP, right? Someone might even see this as a compliment to XP from a certain point of view, but the risk is that excessive gains can indicate that people are going to go bankrupt at some point, right? And let's be honest, when this complaint came out, when the report came out, right, and I talked about this, it was 3 months ago, a lot of people took money out of XP. XP's shares fell on the stock market, right, but XP didn't go bankrupt. In other words, this shows that they have at least some degree of resilience. Why? What is a pawn scheme, right? The pawn scheme is an investment scheme in which the people who take money out of this scheme are actually paid not for what the investment brings, but for whoever joins the scheme. So, as long as there are more people coming in than leaving, the scheme works. People are all satisfied, right? You put your money in there, it yields I don't know how many cents and I don't know what, and in the end you take the money out and voila, you've made money. Great, excellent, cool, very cool. As long as there are more people coming in than going out, everything is fine. The problem with Ponzi schemes is also like Madoff. Madoff was another American crook who created a scheme like that, right, that in fact didn't make a profit. He said he had a fantastic profit but he didn't have a fantastic profit. And then when the thing went off, everyone took the money out. When everyone takes the money out, what happens? Then the thing grows because there are more people leaving than coming in. The scheme created a scheme and Madoff is not the same as a pyramid scheme, okay? A pyramid scheme is when in order to make money you have to bring more people into the scheme, right? So, well, it breaks because at some point there are no more people to join. You've already put everyone, a lot of people, in the scheme, but you can't get more people to join this scheme. And, it's a little different technically, but they're both scams, okay? The INSS in Brazil will go bankrupt. At some point it will go bankrupt, because, you know, it depends on what people put into the NSS to pay their pensions, and fewer people are entering the NSS because we're seeing a decrease in the number of people. So, it's inevitable that the NSS will go bankrupt. When will it go bankrupt? We don't know, because the government is holding the fort, paying the INSS's losses. But it will go bankrupt. It will go bankrupt. There's no way around it. Every pawn scheme goes bankrupt. XP is a pawn scheme. Well, Grizzly Research accuses them of being one, and they made this report here explaining the arguments in PENIN's video. PENIN basically took the Grizzly Research report and did some research, made a cool montage about it, showing exactly how he has more resources than any other fund in Brazil from other banks and I don't know what else. And that's the story of this thing here. They think it's a scam. There's no way of knowing, because in theory if it survived this disclosure and didn't go bankrupt, maybe it isn't, but I don't know. Maybe now with PENIN's video, the thing is spreading to more people. Maybe now a lot of people will take their money from XP and maybe it will go bankrupt, I don't know. Anyway, it's a controversial video, but it's a video that he has the right to make. The biggest absurdity of this whole story is that a video that he has the right to make doesn't even bring new information, that is, because he's bringing information that is already known to the market. The big problem with this whole story here is precisely the prior censorship that PENIN received, right? In other words, before he published his video was already ready. He received a warning here not to publish the content, right? A warning, look, from the office of Louis Hook's son, the Supreme Court Justice. That's what I tell you, my friend, that's it. That's where the Supreme Court people make money with this bunch of action. People love to use the Supreme Court issue to, you know, the name, you know, to do this kind of thing, right? So, here it is, look. A judge here at the Court of Justice of Rio de Janeiro and granted the provisional urgent relief to determine that the defendant Daniel Gonzaga PENIN proceed with the de-indexation of the content available at the URL and such, within 4 hours, counting from the date of the notification. Hourly fine for non-compliance, which is fixed at $10,000, limited to $100,000. Another yes. I order that the defendant refrain from publishing the XP Investimentos video on any platform and I don't know what, right? Well, he says that, because the defendant did not comply with the decision, then, later, he received something else here again, look. That, since he did not comply with the decision, he received a fine of $500,000 for not complying with the decision, because he published the video. The video is here, look. At this moment that I'm recording the video, PENIN published his decision. Well, the guy is brave, right? He's standing up to justice, and, well, I think he's making a very important statement, but this could hurt, okay? This could be a complicated thing, but I'm well advised by lawyers in this story. Anyway, he's here talking about the withdrawal. This is absurd. I agree that this is absurd. This business of taking videos down, of prohibiting people from saying things, is absurd in every way. In fact, the Internet Civil Rights Framework promptly prohibits this type of prior censorship. Now, notice that after the video was published, he received the order to take the video down. I imagine that, at some point, YouTube will receive the order to take the video down, because, according to the Internet Civil Rights Framework itself, if you have a court order to take down the video, YouTube is obliged to take the video down, otherwise it will also be responsible for the losses and damages related to this case, right? So, I imagine, if anyone wants to watch the video, I recommend that they watch it quickly, because soon it may be taken down. This video by YouTube, right? Anyway, the video already has a lot of views, almost 300,000 views here, and it is getting a lot of attention from a lot of people. Now, I want to tell you something. I think PENIN's work is really cool. He did a really cool job here, right? Showing what happened with XP and stuff like that. And I respect his work, but I disagree with the way he manages this thing, okay? Because he was one of the people, for example, who wanted to limit Felipe Neto's freedom of expression, right? Felipe Neto, in the case of Blaze, you remember, PENIN also made a video denunciation criticizing Blaze, I don't know what, and at the time I said, look, okay, you may not like Blaze, no, don't bet. I don't play in anything, I don't recommend that anyone play in anything. In this little game, everyone is an idiot, but the truth is that Felipe Neto never forced anyone to play at Blaze. Whoever caught it, whoever saw Felipe Neto doing things there, went there and played at Blaze, played because they wanted to. In the same way I say that all these influencers who talk about the Tigers game and I don't know what they're and bet and stuff like that, my view is that it is absurd to associate this with merely the fact that the guy induces the person to do something, the person will do that thing. Why? Why do I say this? Because this is the contradiction of the story. If you watch the video here from XP Investimentos, he clearly wants to induce people to take money from XP. And this can cause harm to people, right? I don't know, it may even be positive, but remember, this report it came out 3 months ago and so far we haven't seen any problem, right? So he can, if you assume that a person's speech can influence people to do things and that person who spoke is responsible for it, my friend, it's over. Then he is responsible for example, if XP goes bankrupt, he is responsible for it. If a lot of people suffer losses, he will be responsible for it. Likewise, the correct thing from the point of view of freedom of expression is to understand that people are free to express their opinion, as he expressed his opinion about XP Investimentos. And if someone wants to take money from XP, fine. I also criticized XP. I made a video here criticizing XP. I think it's absolutely correct to do that, right? The wrong thing that I'm criticizing PENIN for is his position that when someone says something, they are responsible for the person's actions from that moment on. He criticized Felipe Neto at the time of Blaze. By the way, I think that was when his channel grew a lot. And I repeat, I'm on Felipe Neto's side on this one. I don't know if Blaze is good or bad. I wouldn't play, but Felipe Neto only announced Blaze. He has nothing to do with it, so he didn't force anyone to play for Blaze, right? So there's no such thing. In the same way, he criticized Mind a lot, and I also talked about the Mind case with that girl at the time. Do you remember? He said no, that Mind was to blame, and I don't know that she wasn't. The fact that a person says something doesn't necessarily generate physical results. The person responsible for the physical result is the person who made the decision later. If the person decided to play for Tigrinho and lose the money, I'm very sorry, they shouldn't, but it was their decision, it wasn't the influencer who did it, right? So, in other words, I have a different view from Daniel PENIN on this point. I disagree with him on this aspect, and I think he ends up being a bit inconsistent in this, because the moment he defines that these people that mind, that Felipe Neto, they are responsible for what happens after they say something. He is also placing himself as responsible for what happens after what he says here, in this case, and is justifying in a way this censorship that he is receiving here, right? Anyway, I think the censorship is wrong. In my view, he has the right to say this here. He has the right to say anything. In fact, what he said before is just contradictory. No one should be prohibited from saying things just because they are contradictory, okay? Even if you say stupid things, things that make no sense, things that are contradictory, you have the right to freedom of expression. Freedom of expression is exactly for that, okay? I'm just pointing out to you the fact that I disagree with him on this specific point. So that's it. Let's see. Let's see what will happen. I hope he is well advised from a legal point of view for this kind of thing. Although, again, I am a libertarian, I am against justice, but I tell you, going head to head with justice can be complicated, okay? It can cause problems. In the end, okay? I hope he's aware of this kind of thing. Another thing that draws attention here is the fact that it's the office linked to Fux, right? That has a censorship case against him, right? It's nothing new. Most of these banks in Faria Lima are linked to the people at the STF. That's what I'm telling you. It's the socialist aristocratic elite of Brasilia. These people who didn't want Bolsonaro, who wanted Lula back, because they thought Lula was less evil for some reason. So it's this group, all these banks, these people from Brazil's rich elite who are behind this whole story. I'm sure of it. So he's talking here. He says that the office headed by Fux is not by his wife. The wife doesn't run it. It's Fux's son, and he says that it will cause irreparable damage to XP's impeccable reputation. And to Guilherme Benkimel's. Benkimmel is the owner of XP, right? Or one of XP's owners. So what? So what? So what? That's the point they made here. And again, I think it doesn't make sense. This decision is completely wrong. This is censorship. This decision is absurd. He has the right to publish this, especially since the case is not new. He's not saying anything that isn't something that has been circulating for about 3 months in this whole story. So, that's the point, right? Censorship is becoming dangerously common here in Brazil. Unfortunately, it's the desperation of this class, this aristocratic, socialist elite, that is losing power in Brazil and is clinging to power with tooth and nail in the end, right? Thank you for watching the video until the end. In addition to liking, sharing and subscribing to the channel, consider becoming a sponsor with amounts starting at $1.99. Click on the Become a Member button below to learn about the conditions and benefits of sponsoring the channel. For more information about our project, visit our websites indicated on the screen.